I can't open it. Okay, we're set.
Yeah, we're set.
All right, we're gonna open the meeting for November 2nd, 2022. And we're gonna go a little bit out of order because one of the applicants needs to be somewhere else as fast as possible. So we're going to look at 221 Chapin, for which we have an RDA, parcel 92500. And do you have anything you want to say?
We're just, my
No,
family and I,
this one.
to build up home there,
This
we
one.
found out that the leach field,
It's going to take a minute.
one corner of the leach field was gonna mix a buffer zone, so 5 feet into it, that's down the plot plan there, so. We're not really disturbing more than, we have a silt fence all up in the back of the property there, and the land was pretty well cleared as people down the home from the whole one that was there before, so not really expanding beyond what was originally there, it's just where the leach field has to be now. And then just mix into that by a couple. Into that buffer.
It's 221 Chapin 09.
Was it 25?
Yes, that's it. So people can see the property.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the outline in blue is the property. There's no wetlands except way at that back corner, which is what Jared was talking about. This is 221 Chapin. And we had a site visit. Anybody who's on the site visit want to report anything?
Yeah, we're on the site visit. We've already put his silt fence in and everything. It's still within the existing silt fence that was there. So, you know, it's only about a quarter to extra for it. So we didn't see anything that just wanted to clear with that buffer at all. The recommendation we made while we were there was just to walk on the silt fence, just to make sure it stays up for the winter months.
Yeah, which can be hard with the snow.
Yeah.
Is this a place where it's appropriate to require permanent markers, or is it too small an area to be able to back?
It's a pretty good drop off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right after that,
So
so,
it's not gonna get
I
mowed.
no, you're not, I
Okay,
don't think you're getting a mower or anything down in that area. It's,
okay,
There's like a rock wall that kind of,
yeah, it's going over the rock wall and then it drops down
okay.
and sort of.
So we'll give you a pass on this one. If you can't mow it, then we don't worry so much about it, but mowing tends to get pushed out every year. Okay, somebody want to make the motion? And maybe we have to
Like,
No. -3. No, 3.
Hmm?
-3.
Make a determination. Make it a negative determination. Number 3, the work described in the request is in the buffer zone is defined in the regulations, but will not alter areas subject to protection under the act. Therefore, said work does not require the building filing of a notice of intent subject to following conditions, which, like we said,
No
we'll pay
condition.
attention to
Yeah, pay attention to the barriers.
variance. I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. The hearing is closed and we will sign the document. We have copies here, so if you can wait, we can sign it.
Sure. Thank you.
Oh, no. Stay.
Thank you for not making us do this after the fact.
Oh, Jude, I didn't bring my pen again. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I just got where I did.
All right. While we're signing that, everybody else can read the minutes.
Everybody who walked in and did sign.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, we're reading the minutes now.
What do you got?
Oh, and, okay,
Oh,
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, except David with the one addition. Okay,
Yeah,
we'll review next. We're gonna do 5:30, Glendale next. Because Heather's asked to be last because she has paperwork that works better if there's a few of us that can stand over it, so. Okay, we're gonna reopen the continued hearing. And it's 6:15. So you can get used to how it gets in. All right, we've passed out a few copies of the map. Try to find it or something.
The new map of the 10 copies up there,
So some of you should have copies of the mapping,
plus it was
Mm.
online.
plus it was online. I always do this, always interesting. I'm gonna use. Do this. Do you have copies? The bigger copies?
The 10, I think the 10, one of them.
Oh, okay, I'm just handing this one. It's got a couple things missing, but it will let you follow.
Oh, I think.
Oh, okay,
I have it.
all right,
He's got it.
okay,
Oh,
all right. We're hoping to close this out tonight. We have proposed findings, which are long and very complicated. So I'm just going to kind of highlight the critical elements. We've been reading since February 2nd. The original delineation was done last December, I believe. We've had since then 3 site visits by the peer reviewer, 1 by the commission, and 2 other field reviews by the applicants. And lots and lots and lots of revisions. The resource areas that were identified by the applicant that remain the same are bordering vegetated wetlands in the 1 to 177 series, which is that big island kind of in the middle. This part, oops,
I went too far.
yeah, I'm just gonna stick on this one,
Right there,
this island right there.
right there.
There's a big wetland island, and then around that is bordering vegetated wetlands. I mean, an upland island. And that's the original series. That's stayed pretty much the way that it started out, with a few bumps and indentations revised. They identified inland bank, which was on what they identified as a intermittent stream on the far westernmost section.
Over here,
And over there,
this,
Yep. the one that crosses the driveway. And it has been identified now to be perennial, which I'll talk about more later. And they identified bank mean annual high water for Eastbrook, which
Down
runs
in here.
along this corner.
Yeah.
Those all with minor revisions were left the same. Things that were revised by the commission and with the assistance of peer review were Some, as I said, some minor bumps and jogs in that original 100 series, which is around that upland island.
Up in here,
No, just. that
Just
one
below,
I
right
went
here?
through before.
okay.
The 200 series. Here, maybe I can just. You want to transfer it.
Where- I can go down to the other maps.
The 400 series, which is over near the driveway. It's all those wetlands along the, essentially the front edge. If you think of the front as the street side, the west edge, the 600 series. And the 900 series was added anew. It was, the peer reviewers felt there might be an isolated land subject to flooding up in that upper right-hand corner. Up here.
Way up, okay.
And that was measured, but in the end was determined non-jurisdictional, which I will also go back to. The westernmost stream was altered to be perennial, which then required that it have bank mean annual high water mapped. And there are new indications for that, which were added. And 3 new intermittent streams were added in the center, near the center of the property. They're here
Center bottom.
and here. Yep. Oh, go back, just
Oh,
stay
there go one
on
too
number
many.
1.
Stay on one. You don't
Stay
want to see
on
the
one.
block. You don't want to see the block?
No, it's just gonna get way confusing.
Okay.
Okay. Those pale turquoise lines. Going.
Up.
um,
Right.
Here
Right there. Okay.
and here,
Right here. Right here.
and there's another one all the way here.
Oh, right here.
see
I
that
see- I
pale-
see him.
Can
Yeah,
everybody see that? Okay, so those were added.
it's these lines right here.
They are both internal to wetlands, but in some cases, the jurisdictional stream counts differently, so we wanted to make sure that got mapped. The public interests that were determined to be protected are needed to be protected were public and private water supply, flood control, prevention of pollution, protection of wildlife habitat, although that is a supposition, has to be assessed at the NOI. Groundwater supply, storm damage protection, and protection of fisheries, because the East Brook is a cold water fishery. Okay, so I'll go item by item. 2 streams were identified in the original ANRAD. One was that westernmost stream. And the observations of the peer review and of the commissioners was that it met the criteria, even during what was at the time considered a significant drought that was just after that designated a critical drought. And it is now, they have now agreed to designate it as perennial. It originates up in that, actually past that pond, but they don't show that, and comes through the pond, which is a farm pond, and comes down and goes out the other end of the parcel. We noted that mean annual high water inland bank is now delineated for this stream. It's pretty narrow. It's a relatively narrow stream. They got the widest point. It's about 5 feet, according to peer review. And, but it does have protection from those riverfront areas. Those 2 blue lines you see to the right of it, those are 100-foot riverfront area and 200-foot riverfront area. All of that is considered resource area and is basically not impingible. You can't build into it without a huge argument about the exceptions. Okay, the mean annual high water and bank for wet East Brook, we've already spoken about, that was pretty much a given. And this 3 intermittent stream channels have been verified by peer review to be in an accurate location. I would note that USGS and Orthos show one more stream that goes up into that right-hand finger, but the peer reviewers didn't see it or note it, so we're not insisting on that. On the other hand, we got an extra stream down in that corner, that little film on the lower one. Yeah. Okay, then we move to bordering vegetated wetlands, which are all those green lines that you see. They're basically surrounding the property, and they cover a lot of ground. There were many thousands of feet of bordering vegetated wetland. And I will note one addition to what I have written in the findings, which is I did receive the 300 up and down gradient data forms. We had them, they didn't have markings that were readable, so we didn't recognize them. Okay, and then I've made detailed notes on what things were changed, what data forms were changed, what was in the data forms. And we also received 2 photos of recent site disturbance that went in the original application, showing some of the work that was there when it was purchased, I guess. Okay. Okay, there were no photos for documenting the general site conditions, but this description was added in the last application, in the last submission. The site is currently a working farm with multiple maintained farm fields located in the northwesterly part of the site and the easterly part of the site. An existing gravel driveway extends from 530 Glendale Road front parcel and crosses over the unnamed perennial stream, providing access to the farm area. An existing barn structure, 7,500 square foot barn structure. The area to the southwest contains a large horse track, which was permitted and constructed in the late 1980s. Based on record plans for the horse track obtained from the Conservation Commission office, the construction of the track disturbed approximately 7.8 acres for construction associated with grading and installation of the gravel ring. The record plan shows that 2 surface drains were provided at constructed low points to drain surface water from the interior of the track. So a lot of people have asked about those pipes. They are now recorded in the words of the applicant. Okay. Mhm. Yes, we still do. However, we dissented from the description as a working farm. It's been inactive for almost 15 years. It did have a 61B in 2017. We understand they've reapplied for another 61B. Is that accurate? Which would make it recreation open space. It still would make it a certified farm, but that is apparently in the process, right? Okay, so it doesn't get noted into the deed until this year, but it is on the tax parcels now. The 61B is there. Okay, so, but still not 61A or 61F or FMP. There's like 3 designations. Series GC1 through 177 is essentially that island we talked about already. The upland island, we changed some of the delineations there. But that is now all reflagged appropriately. The series 300, which is along the perennial stream, has been done and accepted. Series 400 goes near the driveway, to the south of the driveway, that little loop down, this one here.
Oh, this one here?
And then it loops back up again, and then it comes all the way out to the end of the property. That one's now confirmed. 600 was not modified at all. It's down in the lower end of that same piece of the parcel
Right here?
over here.
No, over there.
800 was not modified at all. It's up in the far right-hand corner. That's a wetlands that's actually on the other property, but barely overlaps the parcel, still has a buffer that extends into the property. Oh, I didn't mention 700s were also confirmed and not modified. They're way over there back by the 600s over here.
Oh, way over here.
The inland bank mean annual high water is now designated for the westernmost perennial stream. And now accepted with the appropriate buffers and or resource areas. And the isolated land subject to flooding up there in the little corner, that little teeny guy. No, this little dude that looks like a boat.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was delineated and as it was found by the peer review, and then it was measured, and it's not large enough to be jurisdictional. So it doesn't count. But is noted as having been measured and found non-jurisdictional. Okay, and the final comment is the Hampden Conservation Commission finds that all delineations as revised and specified in this document and as shown in the 1958-530 Glendale Road ANRAD final plan, 10/26/22, sheet C 1.0 through C 7.0, dated revised 10/26/2022 are confirmed. Areas not specifically delineated or confirmed are noted. In the front, I had talked a bit about the fact that only bits that extend into the front parcel, which is parcel 000, are confirmed. The rest of it was not delineated. And a few other small extensions that go off parcel are noted where they weren't specifically delineated. I would also note that we did make a comment about the perennial stream, that we would be very reluctant to allow it to be declared intermittent under CMR 1058 2A 1D and CMR 1058 2A 1A through C, due to what we see as an impoundment where that pond is. If you're holding back the water at all, it's an impoundment. And the likely diversion of sheet flow from what's under the track. We asked the opinion of the diversion from peer review, and they said they couldn't give a definitive opinion that it was a diversion, but they felt it was a likely diversion. So given those two things, it would take a lot of convincing to convince it for us to convert it back to intermittent. But there were very strict rules about doing that. And if they did comply with finding that in a non-drought period, then we would have to reconsider. Is that too confusing? Is that okay? Everybody understand? The rules are that they have to observe non-flow for 4 straight days by a qualified observer, like somebody from Ty and Bond or their consultants. And then they have to document it in certain ways, and they have to submit it to the commission, and then we have to evaluate it. And so if they did that, we would reconsider it. Reluctant. Okay, are there any other questions about what is or isn't there? No. Are you ready to take a vote?
Yep.
Have a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the findings of the peer review. As they relate to the.
No, it's just the findings, not the peer review came into it, but this is not.
Judy, can I jump in real quick?
Yes,
Sure. So for the record, Nick Fastendola, Level Design Group. I believe you'd have to close the hearing first and then vote on whatever decision you're going to make, but that's not why I jumped in. Quick couple comments on the WPA Form B. I was taking a look at it today. I think on the second page, the plan date's wrong. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention real quick. I think you have 9/26 and it should be not 10/26.
well, actually, it says below it, 5 revisions, see attached.
So what's the 9/26 referred to?
That was the
very-
original date of the original plan.
Then it shouldn't say 22, it should say 21.
No, we received, the plan was made in 21. We
Yes,
received it in 22, in
that's,
February.
well, we surveyed it. That's when the original delineation was done.
Okay,
That was the original date of the survey and delineation.
I would change that. We can initial it.
So I just wasn't
Happens
sure.
all the time.
Are you referencing the final plan? I mean, typically you just
No, that's
reference
the
the,
original plan. The final plan is referenced underneath it. It's also referenced in the list at the back.
Mhm.
There's a very long list of all of the documents at the back of the findings, and
Yeah.
it's double starred.
okay. Just confirming that. So yeah, I mean, the original filing was 21, or the original plan date was 21.
Okay, we'll change
Um,
them. All right, you want to make the motion again?
Are you gonna close the hearing first? Do we have to do that?
Cindy? We usually take the vote and close after. Okay. So the motion is, as I heard it, to confirm the findings on the 530 Glendale, ORAD, number WE 1730233, with the alteration of the date of the original mapping as 9/26/2021. All in favor?
Aye. Oh, second.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. The NRED is confirmed and the hearing is closed. We have to vote. Oh, we have to vote to close the hearing.
I make a motion to close the hearing on 530 Glendale.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing is closed. Right. That's not the real one. These are the two real ones.
Thank you already.
You can take this with you.
We have to fill out the, number of people signing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Four of you signing, Andy the fountain,
Just four. Maybe two or 11.
yeah, it's on there, maybe I didn't put it on, yeah. I sure do.
Choose that one. Where's the ones?
Should have said that one.
Mhm.
Get an hour for that.
Oh, this is the other, but also.
Oh, I already did that in the back.
Okay. Is that all done?
Oh, no, we have to start.
You have to sign that,
Yes, sorry. It's too many different.
and I didn't get to sign.
You wanted to check the dates. Make sure to pass that back so we can sign.
Oh, I didn't think
Oh, sorry. There's just one?
No, there's two. They're just doing so.
There's usually two. Right? I don't know which one I just signed.
Everybody on, we can check it.
This is all done for Laura?
Double check it, make sure.
This is
Make
gonna
sure
double
everybody signed
check.
it if I was passing it.
Tom Davis, Costa, 1, 2, 4. 2. Done. Good luck with your baby.
Right, are there any, I'll briefly entertain questions since I know it's long and complicated. Yes,
Question on the, putting up the notice,
mhm.
Yes, I done.
Oh, yeah, please say your name so she can get it in a minute.
Gianna McClinty. Now, you all have some jurisdiction over the notice.
So we have what?
Do you have jurisdiction, don't you have purview?
If any part of the project impinges on any of the wetlands we've identified, then we have some jurisdiction, yes. Over those parts. So, we also under, DEP solar policy 17.1 have a few other small things we have jurisdiction over. Namely, some elements of noise, some view from recreational properties, I'm sorry, and how many trees get cut, which can spark a wildlife habitat review. We can't say you can't cut the trees, but they have to do other things if they're gonna cut that many trees. We also have purview over stormwater, as pertains to the DEP 17-1 policy. All the regular stormwater stuff still goes to planning board.
Okay, so, is there, the report, the notice of the one, that is that made public, and
Yes,
is there, public hearing?
yes. It's just like this process all over again. My expectation is that it might or might not take 9 months. It's hard to know. Depending on how much they want to intrude on the wetlands. But my honest expectation would be that there is likely to be some just to get from, you might have noticed there's wetlands in between other wetlands, so they'll probably have to cross one to get to the other. That would put that in our jurisdiction. If we do get a notice of intent, if they do impinge on any of the wetland areas, then that would get published twice in the paper. And then we would have public hearings just like this. Yes,
So just in terms of the process, the notice of intent is filed with the planning board?
No, to
no,
us.
it's a Conservation Commission document, and is under the jurisdiction of DEP.
There's a whole different process for planning boards.
And, oh, name?
Oh, Dave, Wendell.
EAU?
Yes.
Yes.
You mentioned something about,
Not that I know of. Oh, yeah, somebody said they thought they heard trees being cut over there. No, there are trees in that back rectangle. There are a lot of trees, and there are also some that go up across the top edge of the parcel. And if in their plan, it is to cut down some percentage of those trees, that would be something, again, that would be jurisdictional to DEP and would trigger a wildlife habitat assessment. That's the only condition under which we can do one. But if they wanted to cut, I don't remember what the number is. I think it's 20% of the forest. It's considered prime forest, so they would have to justify cutting it in, and it would have to be assessed. It's just one of the things that comes under our jurisdiction. We have less jurisdiction over tree cutting. If they get a forest cutting plan, then we have even less. Because partly because forestry existed before the DEP, so they maintain a lot more control over things, and there's a lot more leeway given to foresters than there is normally. If and when, or when, if they propose cutting more than, I think it's 20% of the trees on the parcel. If they don't, or if they propose cutting trees in wetland buffer or in wetlands, then we can say something about wildlife. It all comes in, it's all in the notice of intent. So what we would want to look at is the wildlife stuff triggered? We'd want to get probably a baseline sound measure just for future. Because there is a limit to how much you can increase the sound. We would want to look at stormwater. We would want to look at if there's any disturbance of any of the wetlands. There's very strict rules about stream crossings. I don't know if they would have to widen the driveway or put in the driveway. There's a lot of leeway about putting in access to solar. But there are also rules. All of those things are potentially under our jurisdiction. And I don't know how soon that's likely to happen. I have no idea.
What comes next? And the NOI or planning board, do you know, or is that up in the air?
That's up in the air. They could apply to the planning board and apply with the NOI to us at the same time, or in whatever order they want to do it. We probably will meet with the planning board to try and coordinate stormwater because it gets pretty complicated between the two entities in a case like this. So all that will happen after an NOI is submitted and it's published. Yeah.
Municipal and road. Now, the map is finalized. How long is this going to take to get up on the GIS map dependent? So we go into the computer system, so it's up to date now.
Oh, that happens periodically. It doesn't happen instantly.
And it's not by us, right?
Not by us.
Okay, no, I was
No.
just curious.
No, they have a team. After DEP approves it and 10 days passes, et cetera, then it goes to the team and it'll be put in a stack. And it's whenever they get to that stack, I have no idea how high that stack is given the pandemic and everything. Yeah, the maps are available online. You can download them, as is the findings up there? No,
I don't think
the
so.
findings,
No,
I think,
no,
are not
no.
yet there, but you can
no.
request them through Eva and get them emailed to you.
No, because we did.
Right, yeah, so request them through Eva, send her an email. She'll forward it to Bonnie. Bonnie will send you the findings.
Because all we had was preliminary.
So if this all goes, if they start any work out there after approval, is there any oversight by you, like do you do property checks or?
If there was a complaint, we would go out to look. But the truth of the matter is, if they stay inside those areas that have been delineated as not wetlands, like there's two really big fields there, and there's mowed areas behind, they can mow those areas. They can do anything. He's now parking landscaping trucks in those two big blank areas. As long as he stays within those areas, he's within his property rights. It's a private property.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not my question. Once work starts, do you check in to make sure that those guidelines are being followed?
Oh, yeah, in the NOI, there's lots and lots of rules about having engineers on site and having things checked regularly and stormwater checks and all sorts of stuff. It's a long list. It's typically not us. It's typically registered engineers and other sorts of similar people. But we might go out and look just to see and then call in an engineer, for instance. Yes.
You mentioned the fact that you have to cover slide against
It's, yes.
Okay.
I mean, you could go to the selectmen and ask, but I don't think that they would be likely to interfere in that. We do have some rules, but they tried to make a rule that you couldn't park an RV in your driveway, and I know that got voted down a few years back. So I think you would have a hard time, but you could ask the select board.
The town as a whole is very open to plumbers and carpenters and landscapers and having their equipment. If you go down any street, you'll see it. As long as it's neat and kept up and stuff, they're,
And not parked in wetlands.
yeah.
Right, that was my.
That is a critical criteria. They cannot be parked in wetlands. We're very strict about that because almost all that equipment drips little bits of oil
Right.
and other sorts of things, and we don't want them there.
Well, I hope it's not, I hope there's no wetland then.
They weren't when we were there.
Oh, perfect.
I'm not sure about the rules for surveying other people's property. Yeah, I would be careful about that. Okay, any other questions? All right, remember that, if an animal NOI does come in, it's also going to go to the select board and the planning board, so you want to address things ahead of time, that's the place to do it. Okay, thank you all for coming. Okay, Heather? Yeah. I mean, I know crazy flies all over the whole town and stuff, but I think there's some of actually really should be. You know, when we wanted to do that. Which I think something I would. I would just very to. I just want to make sure that it's. Yeah. All right, we're going to open the hearing for parcel 1730235, Tori Santini and Megan, just south of 321 Chapin Road. Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather, I'm the wetland consultant. I delineated the resource areas on, this vacant piece of land on Chapin Road. It's on the easterly side of Chapin Road. We met a couple of the commissioners on site to walk the line, and the resource areas that exist on the site is an intermittent stream, and there is bank associated with that intermittent stream and a little bit of wetland, but it's mainly hillside intermittent stream that doesn't allow the gradient to collect water long enough to create a large wetland.
We're still holding a meeting. There is another case. Sorry. Okay.
So both the northerly and southerly sides of the stream, the resource areas of the stream were delineated. We determined that the easterly side of the stream, the upland area, was too small to realistically fit a house and within the staying outside the buffer zone. So all of the work is proposed on the westerly side of the intermittent stream.
It goes right up the middle. Yeah, that riverfront that's shown there doesn't exist. No, as she said, it's an intermittent stream, doesn't show on the early USGS, doesn't show on any other USGS I could find. And so therefore it does show as a hydrological connection and a linear feature on many maps.
So I do know that there is a lot of question about whether this is intermittent versus perennial. So just to clear up any confusion, I brought the Wetland Protection Act, and I thought we could just go through it because it explains, this is like the only black and white section of the Wetland Protection Act. This intermittent versus perennial is very clear. So I think it would be beneficial just to go through the Wetland Protection Act and, you know, for some of the newer members and just for clarification. It's,
That's too bad.
Yeah, what do you do with that call?
Andrew got a call.
Fire pump?
So you're saying the stream does not show up in the USGS. So
Right.
You're comfortable in that being not present.
Oh, you are.
That's why I was asking about the USGS. It's not showing.
Yeah, I think the people with the most questions are not here. But it's okay if you want to go through it quickly anyway. I don't think it hurts.
So on 10.58, 5821 A. It says a river or stream shown as perennial on the current USGS map or recent map provided by the department is perennial. So if it shows up on the USGS map as perennial, then it is presumed perennial. And the difference between Hampden maps and some of the other maps in,
Can you hear? Can you hear okay? Okay, I know there was questions about this in the group as well. So.
So on the Hampden quad of USGS map, it doesn't decipher between perennial and intermittent, whereas some of the other maps do. So, if I just
What it,
show.
All those topographic points, like the last one is the best.
oh, I think that's where I couldn't get in. It wouldn't
Oh,
lo-
okay, they
wouldn't
were
load.
huge. I wasn't sure if you would.
They
be able
wouldn't
to-
load.
Okay,
Yeah, they.
well,
they
that was
were
okay. You
really
could leave
big.
that up. That's good.
But if I can just, you know, I can walk around. So this is.
That's the hydro.
Hampden quad.
what the
You want
one
the,
just
you
had.
want the plain one?
It shows the
This is
hydrological connection without the,
right,
Okay.
which is cool.
1979, but still.
This one?
It hasn't changed.
That's off Mass
between
Mapper.
Then in 2021 to determine if any other streams have been, you know, revised to be included or not included. So in this map, all of the streams that show up are shown as one solid line. There's no breaks in them. Whereas this is an example of a different USGS map. And intermittent streams are shown up on this map as a line with 3 dots and then another line. And then I have another map that shows and distinguishes between intermittent and perennial as either a dark blue line or a light blue line, whereas the light blue is the intermittent. So this is a dark blue line and this is a light blue line. So this would, on this map, this is an intermittent stream.
Do you want to come up and see anybody?
Would you like me to bring it over so you guys can see?
That's a bad thing.
So that, for me, when I first started doing this, I was like, oh, why are all these maps different? And why doesn't, like, Belchertown doesn't distinguish between intermittent and perennial? So if it shows up on the USGS map as a line in Hampden, then it is considered perennial. On this one, it doesn't show up. The site is right about here.
I want to talk a little bit about Mass Mapper. This map is from Mass Mapper. If you click on streams, you only get the big streams to the left and that big stream to the right. If you have to get these lines that go up the middle of the property on this map, Even if you click on streams, you don't get intermittent streams as dotted lines, which is possible in some locations in the state, but not here. To get these, you have to say DEP linear features or hydrological connections, and then these show up. And most of the time, the hydrological connections will turn out to be intermittent or to be wetlands, one or the other. Once in a while, you know, if you go there and it's a rushing stream, then you have to think about it. But when I sent you the cheat sheet for the mass mapper, the best thing to do is click streams on and then hit the linear features and click them on and off. And if there's a light blue stream underneath it, you'll know that you need to consider it perennial. If there isn't, you'll know that it's probably intermittent. It's one good way, because they don't distinguish very well on mass mapper.
So once you look at the maps, that's the starting point. If it shows up on the USGS map as perennial, it's perennial. The only way to make it not perennial from that point is photographs over 4 days during a consecutive 12-month period, during non-drought. The commission could try to call it perennial by running stream stats. And stream stats is a USGS program that will calculate the contributing watershed area. So all the land, when it rains, all the land that will eventually flow down to a specific point. And so the regulations say that if this stream has a half a square mile contributing watershed area, plus the 99% flow duration rate is at least 0.001 cubic feet per second. These are all their parameters that they run. Then the commission can call it perennial. So that's one way to take an intermittent stream and call it perennial. The stream on this site, I ran the stream stats program, and I did it on a point that was about 200 feet down gradient of the site, so that if it was found perennial, the 200-foot riverfront area wouldn't extend up into the site. And it was these are the stream sets reports. And that one was 0.03. So way less than a half a square mile. I also ran it for right before it discharges to the Scantic River. And about 100 feet away from the Scantic River, that contributing watershed area was 0.11. Also significantly lower than the half square mile. So there is no way that this, the commission could try to make this perennial, because it doesn't meet these very clear standards. They do also say if there are some other programs, like if it's not digitized on stream stats, but this was digitized. So I didn't have that issue. Does anyone have any questions about intermittent versus perennial?
Anybody back there? No? Thank you.
So it is considered an
have this
intermittent stream. Intermittent streams
Do we have
are
this on?
sometimes non-jurisdictional.
That-
And
No,
which
I never
means
saw
They
that.
don't have any buffer zone or regulations associated with them. This one is jurisdictional because it has a wetland area up gradient of it. Once it flows out of a wetland, or if it connects one wetland to another, or if it has wetland bordering on it, then that area down gradient and the wetland area would be considered jurisdictional. Across the street from this, up gradient, there is a wetland, so this is jurisdictional. The resource areas were mostly banked.
Is this out of her
vertical
report?
bank.
No,
There
it's-
was
it's
a
not in there.
small section in the middle that kind of leveled out and the water could pond long enough to, support hydrophytes, predominant of them.
Yeah.
So that area is considered water and vegetative wetland.
You guys want this one? So you can see.
They,
Keep it overall, yeah.
bank has a 100-foot buffer zone, just like EDWs. So that 100-foot buffer zone extends into the site and it's shown on the plan. You-
Yeah.
The only thing I can do is try to go to her mail and bring it up.
There is
That
a
takes me a while.
single-family
They must have
home,
them.
a driveway, a septic area, a well, and a pool, and lawn area proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone. We maintain a 25-foot no disturb zone in accordance with the commission's bylaw. It's not located within priority or estimated habitat. It's not located within floodplain. We have, silt fence proposed almost around the entire project, just to keep, silt from, eroding and going off site or to go onto, into the wetland. It's probably not likely to go into the wetland. The grade of this site, it slopes downward, whereas in the resource area it's on the side. And if there was erosion, it would probably occur, down at the bottom. So
This is.
so fence, even though it's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, that's the more critical fence. Is there any questions? Oh, good question. So,
No.
yeah, sorry about that. So there is two plans. The professional engineer, is the one who has to design the septic system. And so we had a separate surveyor to locate all, the topo, the wetland flags, everything. And then there was a professional engineer who designed the septic system. So that is shown on a different plan. Would you like to see a copy of that? Yeah, they have to do it over the perk test. So it'll be right behind the house. Yeah, so this is the tank. And then, the tank will go here, there's a
It
key
looks
box
like
and,
321.
there'll be,
It was 221, 221, and then they had 47. And then this property. No, it's not.
so
really
there are
property.
two, I located both sides of the street. Yeah, so it's the WA line.
They're,
It's WA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this side, W1.
it's where the fire
Oh,
department
this
brings
should be 2.
down,
3,
221 is for the fire department brings down house. Then there's a lot,
yeah,
which is,
so that's
which has a house on
the
it.
bottom of
Then
the
there's this
side is considered.
And then
actually
another house, so it's just a
And
space,
the bank.
it's relatively narrow
area.
between two
So
houses.
the jurisdiction of the commission is this 100 feet out from the edge of this. I live on this area here.
You're just trying to figure out where it is in your mind.
Here, The only area that.
Yeah, it's right.
Between two, also building setbacks is, this is the front setback, and this is the side setback. So it's the area, but you also outside the no disturb zone, you're gonna do this little triangle right here, is where they can go. That's not practical.
This was the only cut. If you take a look at the measurement, all of you just barely fit into the town setback. For a line. You just fit in. It's almost like Portland. Double block is, and we're going one way or we're going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
It's on a white or black on the pipe drop. And you learn one property at the street. 4 points.
And actually, they revised their original house design, was 10 feet from the wetland. And I asked them to redesign it to make it, suitable to allow, like, at least during construction to get a vehicle around them. So at the closest point, it is 18 feet from the limit of work line.
And then when the work was 25 feet from,
Yes.
Okay. All right, the extra conditions that I proposed were permanent boundary markers, as usual. And you should know that if you don't like looking at lolly columns or PVC, you can propose an alternate that you think is more aesthetic. They're almost all more expensive, so most people choose to do the lolly columns or the PVC. But you can do granite markers or whatever along that no disturb zone in the wetland at the very back. Every 50 feet or at a corner, you need to put a marker. That means, so when somebody else comes to mow your property or the trucks are working to build your house, there's a boundary there that they don't accidentally.
Or
go
you
across.
decide to sell it in a year, your new owners have to know that.
Yeah, there's a
The
copy
pre-
attached.
Yeah, the previous house on the other lot that we didn't ask for that because their only problem is way, way, way in the back.
Okay.
You have it right on your side yard. You have,
Up on the boundary piece,
Mhm.
usually ask for GPS, some sort of coordinate.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
here.
So-
Basically,
Well,
you, yeah, basically you put in the boundary markers, then you put in the limit of work or silt fence, which is often the same. And then you call us to come and inspect them both. You could put in the boundary markers, have us inspect, and put in the limit of work and have us inspect, but it's okay to get them done, and that's included in here. But you can't do anything else before that. You can't dig out for the house or chop down the trees or whatever.
I have a question. So the GPS, I know you guys like to see the GPS, would that be, so Smitty would have to do that, because I don't have a GPS that's close
Yeah.
enough to, being accurate. Smitty would have to do, Smith Associated Surveyors would have to do that. And then do you want them to put,
Usually we have to just write it on the sign.
Yeah, usually they number them and put a little table down in the corner because that's easy. Or they can just do it right on, the map in all the locations. I think it's easier to put the little table in. So it says marker 1, latitude, longitude, marker 2, latitude, longitude. That lets us, we have on occasion had people pull them out. So we can go looking and see if it's still there, if there's an issue.
they have to be pretty deep though.
They're supposed to be 18 inches down. It's not easy to get them out. You have to be, their tractor accidentally ran over them is actually what happened.
The directions for them on when you get your paperwork are included in the paperwork.
So that's the most important part, is just make sure those two things get done and inspected, and then you can go for it. Okay, the second thing is the erosion silt barriers that I put in. Then I asked for a low-growing vegetative restoration area along the no disturb zone. And the reason for that is with all that building going on and being so close. And there's really only duff in between. There's not much vegetative growth there. It seemed like it would provide long-term a buffer. And it'll be aesthetic anyway, so it shouldn't get you, and it discourages you from mowing along that edge if you have nice pretty things growing in there. I did suggest some plants.
That might, some of those plants that you suggested are, come in individual like pots. It would be extremely expensive to get that thick enough where it would actually slow down runoff and.
Yeah, I think it'd be smarter to go with the sedges and stuff first, and you could put in a few of the ferns and they spread.
Also, most of the site, it's not going to protect, it might make a bigger buffer zone. But it's not really going to protect the wetland all that much. Most of the site is sloping down, towards the back of the site, towards the northeast. It doesn't actually flow towards, the wetland or the banks.
What do you think? No, I'm just proposing this.
I mean, as long as they have the silt area, reinforcement. Everything stabilized after that.
So you want to reinforce silt barrier instead? Is that reasonable?
So like straw wattles.
Either, yeah, it's not a turtle area, so yeah, you could put straw bales or straw wattles behind, or you can get silt barrier that has reinforcing fence in it, and you can use that. We have seen them squash a lot with the wet winter snows that we've been having, so anything that will hold it up.
I think actually the best place for extra silt fence would be at this bottom, just to make sure that any silt doesn't go off site, because if there is erosion, it's gonna go just straight down the site. This is the area that is probably would be most crucial to do. So maybe if they had straw wattles just along this extra area, or reinforce like silt fence that has the reinforced metal wire post, that would be good, especially right here. I don't think that it'll provide that much more protection for the wetland or the buffer zone.
Okay, so are we eliminating the restoration area?
I don't know.
Survey that piece will have to do with restoration. Within that. I mean, it doesn't
Okay.
touch it at all. I mean, it's all stable while we were out there. Everything's together now to start digging holes and putting plants and possibly, making the plants maybe.
Well, when they dig the
not-
house up, everything else is going to be loose soil.
Well, everything else will be, but you'll have your built fence.
Yeah, if it's good enough
I
silt
mean,
fence.
I would be, I don't know. Looking at it, if the right where the well is, it's probably where I'd rather see some hay bales or whatever on top of it. Just because I know how much water comes out of the well. When they're filling it and doing that, I'd rather see a little reinforcement right there, because that.
Maybe some
You're gonna have-
straw wattles.
Yes, straw walls with
Ah.
the well.
Down gradient side of the well,
Yeah, the well spot. Because I've seen it where-
when they're pulling out the slurry, or when the slurry is
Yeah,
coming out of the well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They-
I mean,
Again, they're compared to the other site where they're already working, because that was a house that was just torn down, and so they're already way advanced from where they are. But he had just stakes in the plastic, and there were a few places were just weather was, from rain flow.
Yeah, the rain.
On the
had that,
downs,
it's just-
on the,
We just keep
what you-
going to these properties and seeing silt that's just.
it,
going
it
over
was
the-
flowing down
areas.
because of the downslope.
But, yeah, but Ted.
All- huh?
You know, same time like you said, when we were there, downslope, everything sloped down.
Right, and
just like
the-
the other property the rest, right?
Yeah, that's what I say.
In the back.
In the back part, I'm agreeing with it, which I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Man-made something that could overcome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put
that-
this on both.
that's what,
Well, that could slurry and all that. You know,
Yeah. that's, I was agreeing with it, on the downslope side.
Here, right?
Yeah. I agree. I think that this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
northeasterly
Yes, ma'am.
boundary is that's the most downreading point. That's.
Yeah.
where, That has the highest threat of erosion.
Yeah.
I also suggested to them to make sure that this is installed by a professional. Don't try to install this yourself, because the most important part of silt fence is making sure that it's installed correctly.
Yeah.
Because if it's
Yeah.
not installed correctly, it's just flow underneath it.
Yeah.
well, here,
Yeah,
That's the problem.
I'm looking for the other
don't
one.
want
so I
fire.
can write on
You don't want to hire a whole bunch of,
it.
Clean up for-
yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of it.
Oh, yeah, just, the point I was trying to get to is to kind of agree with her, it's that downslope side.
Okay, I'm writing reinforced with straw. Wattles. Or wire. At well. And. At BBW,
At the down gradient property line. So the northeasterly property line. Or limit of work line.
Because when you guys start digging the cellar hole and stuff, or like the well, and you have huge piles of dirt that are loose, all you need is a good rainstorm and you start getting flow, and then you're in trouble.
I'll make sure I get this changed so it's right when you sign it. Okay. All right. I also proposed, the restoration area, we're Xing that out.
Yeah, remind me, yeah.
Right, and then, I have stuff about the pool, if they install it, because it's on the map. That they need to be more than 50 feet from the inland, bank. And from the bordering vegetated wetland, whichever is farther. I used 50 because that's the one we use for riverfront exceptions, but, Heather has pointed out that if it's 50 feet away, it's gonna be, it won't fit.
Well, the other hand, what about discharge when they have to,
Well, that's separate, that's addressed.
you got that there? too?
Upgrading it, you gotta have a pump that takes it to somewhere like in your lawn or over to the other side, so that it has a chance to.
You
drain
can't
before it
pump
gets back
chlorine
to
into,
the stream.
Miss a chlorine pool, but I do.
Yeah,
okay,
people have a tendency.
but we
to
don't know
just
that, so we
hesitate
have to
about that.
assume, we have to assume,
Easiest thing is just to have like a little dry well hole that you just dump it into.
That's what we did for our pool, and it, we just dug a hole right here. And so that when you're trying to clean out the filter, the water, and it goes into the like settling, hole, and it was filled in with stone, like a dry well, it won't be like a hazard for your kids.
Yeah,
Oh,
just,
man, or
it's just
anything,
nice round
it'll just
stones up to
blend
the top
in.
and you can mow right over it even. Okay, so I'm gonna change the 50 feet to 25.
I tried to see if we can move, this, I use this as like a pool to see. if
That's
I
the pool.
can, Move it around and where it would fit, and with the grading for the septic, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, all the rest of it is our normal pool rules. Yeah. As it should be, especially since I'm writing it in and running in. Every time I lose it, I can't find it again.
You know why this, the clip, this top clip is clipping the whole. There you go. Now you got it.
No, it's above, but the problem is with the leach field is because, you know, it's gonna be grading, so for them to level it, there's a possibility that they can fix some of that. And really stuff to rebuild it.
And if you had to make that up, the leach field up, you would fill your pool.
Right. I see people put it on. No, I think.
And the other place to be in the front. Yard, but that's
That would be
not-
Where's the privacy there? Yeah.
um, That could be put, is an exemption for under the.
Yeah, I just went to that because it's what we're comfortable with on our normal rules.
And that's basically, so that you don't have to file a notice of intent. If you stay outside of 15 foot, and you're doing it within lawn area, you don't even have to file a notice of intent to prevent them from filing anything. But we filed the notice of intent, so.
Yeah, we actually ask people to file an RDA just so we can give them those pool rules about disposing of the water and all that kind of stuff. So this way, it's all just like the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people in town who have a riverfront exemption because the houses were built before 76 right up against the river. And those are the same rules they follow. So not implying that you're at riverfront, but it's a similar pattern. All right, and that's pretty much it. So you just get your permanent markers and your labels, and have us come inspect it. And, you don't have to, if the engineer takes time to do the GPS, you don't have to have that before the inspection. We just have to have it as soon as you can afterwards. Okay, so you want to propose?
Usually the surveyor is the one who will install these, like they be doing it, but
Yeah,
that's usually.
that way
who
it's in the
installs
right
it so
place.
that it can be installed at the correct, at the correct places to make sure that, if they went out and tried to measure off, it's not gonna be very accurate. And, so the surveyor is the one who makes sure that they install it as shown on the plans. So while they're out there installing them, they can GPS locate them.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, this is gonna be 5 cents to this one. You don't mind having my scribbles on the extra conditions, which I initialed. You can take it with you tonight. Okay, can I have a motion to accept what? You have to say the whole thing. Yeah, I'll just follow what you said.
It said silence.
Yeah. Do you want to copy this so you can read it off the? Okay.
Yeah, 1.5, yeah, 1.3, 1.2. What it says here.
Yeah, that'd be easy to read.
File 173, after 35. Road. 27. Is, under section B, approval subject to A. Following conditions are necessary for performance standards set forth in the regulation. Sufficient orange and all 20 corners of the 90% record above. Following general conditions are expected to attach this order to the extent that the following conditions modified or different from the plan specifications or other proposals submitted with the notice of intent to the village shall control. The installation of permanent boundary markers must follow our standards and also be GPS provided back to us in the map. The road and silt barriers must be installed prior to installation of any work. Other than the installation of permanent markers, the conservation commission must be notified within 48 hours prior to the work beginning. Will inspect from the reinforced with straw wattles.
Yep.
At well site and also down through the easternly low line.
That's line of work.
If the indicated pool is installed, the window work line must be as close to project as practical, practically manageable for the equipment. All activities must be within 1 to 5 feet. From the cooling bank / no high water line from bordering vegetated wetland.
Just a number.
I don't think so.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Always forget that. All those in favor? All opposed? Okay. Approval is granted and want a motion to close the hearing?
Make a motion to close the hearing. Second.
All those in favor? Hearing is closed. I love Whitman's. We can do in one meeting. After a 9-month one, I'm telling you, it feels really good.
Thank you.
You guys come here and all?
No, thank you.
So are you planning on starting right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been planning this a long time, so.
Anxious to get out of town? Huh? Are you going to commute to work or are you changing?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna stay with Frank, I'm a firefighter in Springfield, nothing now except I'm gonna stay.
Oh,
Meeting.
We need a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.
Definitely looking forward to the better.
Thank
Yeah. So you have to send your kid
Thank
to,
you.
Wolverhampton Middle